You've probably grown up hearing things like, God helps those who help themselves, or that the devil is some red monster with horns and a pitchfork. Sounds familiar, right? But here's the shocking part. None of that is actually in the Bible. Over time, culture, tradition, and even movies have slipped ideas into Christianity that sound biblical but have zero scriptural backing. Myth number 1, the devil is a horned creature. This is probably the most famous one. Cartoons, Halloween costumes, and even some sermons have painted the devil as a red creature with horns, a tail, and a trident sitting on a throne in hell. But that's not biblical. The Bible describes Satan as an angelic being, originally created in beauty and splendor. Paul even says in 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verses 14 that he presents himself sometimes as an angel of light. In other words, if Satan showed up, you wouldn't see a monster. You'd probably see something attractive. And here's the kicker. Satan doesn't rule hell. Hell is his sentence, not his kingdom. Myth number 2, God helps those who help themselves. This one is quoted like a scripture, but it's really not. In fact, it actually comes from Benjamin Franklin. The Bible teaches the opposite. God helps the helpless. If salvation depended on us helping ourselves, none of us will make it. Grace means God steps in when we can't do a thing. Yes, the Bible encourages hard work and that Christians should take responsibility in growing spiritually. But this idea that God only shows up if you fix yourself is not only just wrong, but is dangerous. Number 3, God won't give you more than you can handle. This phrase is quoted all the time, but it's not in the Bible. What the Bible actually says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verses 13 is that God will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear, and that he will provide a way of escape. That's about temptation, not about suffering or life's struggles. Scripture shows us again and again that life often gives us more than we can handle on our own, and that's so that we rely on God's strength. Myth number 4, Adam was there when Eve was being tempted. Some people picture Adam standing silently by as the serpent deceived Eve, but Genesis chapter 3 doesn't actually say that. The Bible tells us Eve was the one the serpent spoke to directly, and then she gave the fruit to Adam, who was with her. The with her is not what you think it is. In Genesis 3, the story is written in a Hebrew narrative style called the Wow Consecutive. This grammatical structure shows a sequence of events. It could have been hours, weeks, or even years till Eve had told Adam about the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Myth number 5, Christianity is a relationship, not a religion. This sounds good when trying to defend why Christianity is true, but it's not completely accurate. The Bible never distances Christianity from being a religion. James chapter 1 verses 27 actually describes pure and undefiled religion as caring for orphans and widows and keeping yourself unstained from the world. Christianity is a relationship with God, but it's also a faith, a set of practices, and yes, you guessed it, a religion. Myth number 6, for where 2 or 3 are gathered, I am in their midst. Now, you've probably heard this one many times. Your pastor or church leader during service would often say something like this. I know there's just a few of us here tonight, but after all, Jesus promises that for where 2 or more are gathered in my name, I am there. This sounds comforting until it is analyzed and taken to its logical conclusion. What if there are not 2? What if there's only 1 person? Does that mean that Jesus is not there? If the answer is no, then we have to come back to Matthew chapter 18 verses 20 and understand what it's really saying. Jesus in Matthew chapter 18 was talking about church discipline, for which was agreeing together with the witness's accusation regarding an unrepentant church member. So no, this verse is not about God's presence showing up with a certain amount of people. In fact, there are many times in scripture as to where we see God's people in isolation. Abraham, Moses, David, the prophets, the apostles were in isolation at some point in their lives, but were still very well in the presence of God. God doesn't need 2 people to show up. Why? Because he promises that he will never forsake his people.